guys, welcome back to Sad Dad. My name is Dave Apcari, and I am a comedian out of Fresno, California, and this is a podcast where I sit down with my fellow funny friends, my fellow comedians, and we talk about dads. Hi, how's your week been going? I've had a deceptively busy week. I can't tell you why, but I feel like I haven't had enough time to do stuff. But yeah, I've been. We had actually a really fun run of shows this week. At the comedy shows that I book and run, we were kind of sweating. I mentioned it last week. If you listen to the intro, the big Fresno Fair is in town, and we were kind of sweating that. Like there was, like our Friday show was kind of a lighter turnout because of that. Our Saturday show was great though, and then Sunday was Monday we got hit real hard, but then Tuesday was good. So it hasn't been quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. Friday night, holy shnikes, we had a very, very drunk lady in our show. We actually had to kick her out. It was first time we've ever had to do that. That was it was crazy. Like the best part was like the audience was on our side. She was really drunk and like heckling all the comedians. And I don't know if you've ever heard a room full of 40 people shouting, "Get out, get out, get out." It was wild as I was like escorting this lady out of the show. She's stumbling drunk. Her friend, who's also very drunk, behind her crying like, "She's a good person. You guys stop it." Oh, it was nuts. Never had to do that before, but this lady was just out of control. She like fell down, and it was a whole thing. Hopefully that's not anything I ever have to do again, because usually our audiences are very, very cool. But yeah, I have a great episode. The last couple of days I've been hanging out with two comedians up from Los Angeles doing our shows. Guys named Quincy Weekley and Doc Willis. And actually the episode I have for you today is an episode I recorded with Quincy Weekley. And I was originally I've been so busy. I have some like great podcasts like in the can, but a lot of them require some editing, and not big stuff, but like I have a great episode with a comedian named Samir Suri, but it's kind of like it's kind of a shorter episode, and I have a shorter episode with another funny comedian that I'm friends with named Tosh. So I was gonna like edit together like a double feature episode of Sad Dad, but I kind of ran out of time to do that this week, and I had this great episode I did with Quincy, and so I just decided there wasn't any kind of editing or splicing together I had to do, so I was just gonna hit you guys with this one. It's a great chat. It's a chat he and I actually just had yesterday. So here we go, guys. Let's just jump into it. Stick around for the outro. I've got a few things to go over with you guys, and here we go. Quincy Weekley, everyone. Yeah, thanks, man. They're kind of like mid-tier, It's not, they're not complete garbage, but there's definitely better stuff out there.
When you're dealing with poor comics in LA, like this looks super fancy.
Oh, word. Yeah. There's a lot of I don't know. I actually had a lot of these mics left over. I used to record a lot of music and for bands and stuff, and for me. But turns out you can use them for podcasting too.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. You've been having fun. You had a great set last night.
Thanks, man. It was, dude. I just posted on, I think it was Facebook or something, because you sent out a link talking about last night's show.
Oh yeah.
And I just posted, like last night's crowd was like that lady in the Bible who gave only a quarter, but it was great because it was all she had.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like. The crowd was super small, but the laughs filled the room. It was amazing, honestly. Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm just glad it worked out.
It was a small but mighty audience, and they were pretty generous too. So
yeah, they definitely were. And it's one of those things where I'm not at the level, and hopefully I never get to the level where I'm really going to complain about, I can't believe there's only 5 people here.
Yeah.
The small, quick story. It's like I remember a friend of mine. It was her birthday party, and a bunch of people showed up, but there were like a couple people that she wanted to come, and they didn't come, and she was crying about it, and she threw like a temper tantrum, super like rich girl style. And it was so upsetting because it's like, well, you're neglecting all the people who did come out to see you for the people who aren't here. And I don't think that's fair to them.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. It's like these people came out to see a show. So it doesn't matter if there's not 100 of them. I have to give those people a show because they're here. I can't worry about who's not.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I love that. Dude, nothing drives me more bonkers than when a headliner just gives up on an audience, and like you're like, oh man. But yeah, dude, you were amazing. You're so good. And you brought Doc out with you. Doc's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm talking about him like he's not in the room.
Yeah, I know he's like over there on the couch chilling.
Yeah, he's great, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
and he's
shit.
like, it's one of those things where like he's like a really good friend of mine. He's a good guy and he's really funny. So it's like I'd like him to come down and do well in front of you guys and meet you, and then he can come down in his zone as well. So
Yeah.
So
that's our favorite way to meet new comics. Is like you have way more of a sense versus like a video or anything else. I mean, I get it as a comedian too. Like you kind of have to take each and every video with a a grain of salt. But I mean, yeah, it's it's great when you can see somebody live and you can see somebody, that's the best. Yeah.
And he was in a tough situation, with the small crowd, and he still just handled it like a pro.
Killed it. Yeah. It was awesome, man. That's great. What, cause are you still working at the Comedy Store?
I am. I work, they're door guys. That's what they call the employees there. They hire for their comedy to develop. But I don't technically work door shifts anymore, which is nighttime.
Okay.
I work during the day on the phones. So if you were to call 3 to 4 times a week early on, I would be answering the phone.
Oh,
so
wow, dude. Yeah. Is that like just like a lateral movement, or is that like a promotion?
No, it's a lateral movement. Like literally, and it's the same as a door shift. There's like the phone shifts as well.
Sure.
But the only thing is those are static. So if you get a phone shift, you have that on a regular basis. Whereas, when you get scheduled for door shifts, it changes on a weekly basis.
Right. It's more, one of those wild part-time like schedules. So that's kind of cool. You got some consistency.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. And now that, especially that I'm really, really going after a comedy, it's great because in the evenings I do, a lot of micings or a lot of miking, and I can go to shows and do whatever. And then, I get all my work done early in the day.
Sure.
So I don't have to, because a lot of guys, have to work 3 to 4, maybe even 5 times a week at night, and they just can't really do comedy. And then, they're getting shifts covered to do shows, of course. But like I prefer this, where I can go get the hours in and then go out and get the comedy hours.
Yeah,
in.
for sure.
Perfect. Yeah.
Do you and I know a lot of the door guys will get time. To cold open and everything. Do you still get that even though you're doing phone shifts?
I do get that because, like I said, it's just a lateral movement. It's not like better or worse.
Sure.
Which is great, because they didn't do that before. Even when I first started, because I've been there like 7 years, and
wow.
When I first started, there were only, the Comedy Store has 3 rooms, right?
Right.
And so most of the shows are independently produced, and they have the standard Comedy Store show during the week. And when I first started, they would only put developing comics on 2 of those shows, on Tuesday and Friday.
Oh, okay.
And they would put like 6 people on one show. And so shortly after, like maybe a year after I got hired, they changed that to putting development spots on basically all the independent shows.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 2 to 3 spots from the store go on.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's much better. And then
way
like
more opportunities.
and
Yeah.
about 8 months ago, they changed it to where a Comedy Store employee gets to open every Comedy Store show.
Hell yeah.
So that's the best of show, the main room on a weekend, and all the shows. So there's weeks where you get a development spot, and you get to open, a great show, and you see your name on a lineup with like all the really popular. So it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great change.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, I assume you've worked other jobs. Like, how does it stack up, like, objectively as a job? Like, is it a lot of fun, or is it just kind of?
It is, just because of the atmosphere. If you're working at any other place, part time, whatever, there's a lot of kind of rules that you should have to abide by, and rightfully so.
Sure. Yeah.
But since it's a complete comedy environment, you can get away with a lot of things, and I'm not even that guy necessarily.
Sure.
But it's fun to experience that. People having fun and being loose and not being so uptight and so politically correct.
Yeah.
It creates an awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what's your comedy origin story? How did you get into it?
So my comedy origin story, I've always been a fan of comedy. I remember Eddie Murphy's Raw.
Yeah.
It was one of the first specials I saw. And then a friend of mine showed me Eddie Griffin's special, the one where he's wearing big yellow.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can picture it. I don't know if I've ever watched it all the way through though.
Yeah, he had recorded it off of like TV, and then showed it to me, and I was like, oh, that's great. But I never thought of doing comedy as a career. Growing up in the Bay Area, junior high and high school, and and some college in the Bay Area. It's just everyone was into computers, and that's kind of what I did right out of school. I worked for a software company.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, then I moved here to Fresno actually.
How funny.
Because I started an internship I was going to West Valley Junior College, and they had a public access station.
Oh, is that why you asked me about PBS earlier?
Yeah, because
how funny.
So they had a public access station, so I interned there and learned like the basics of behind the scene production. And then I got an opportunity to move here with a bunch of friends and have really inexpensive rent. So I started going to Fresno City, and I interned at the PBS station here.
Wow, yeah.
And then I was doing that, and then I kind of went as far as I could.
Sure.
Because it's such a small market.
Right.
We produced 3 local programs, and I ended up taking over one of them for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And it was the one they watched the most. But it was a live show called Art of Gardening. Central Valley is super farming, so it was Art of Gardening.
Yeah.
So I produced that for like a year and a half. Then I moved to LA to work in a bigger market. Couldn't really find work. And my best friend from, back home in San Jose had moved to LA. And his coworker, her husband, was the general manager of the Ice House Comedy Club.
Oh, okay.
And I needed a job. I needed a steady paycheck because I wasn't getting enough work. And so I became a sound guy there.
Oh, cool. Because that was your skill set. Yeah.
I'd run sound for live television.
Yeah.
So running it for a comedy show is easy. You just like turn it on and just like let it go, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
Started doing that, and the idea was great. I'm like, I get to watch comedy all weekend, for hours.
Yeah.
For as a job.
And how long ago is this at that point?
That was 2000, maybe 2006 or something like that.
Yeah, this is a while back.
Yeah, so worked there for a couple years and kind of just got the bug. Like I wanted to try it, but, didn't really try it. And then this lady was teaching a comedy class at Pasadena City College, which is right down the street. And she moved it into the smaller room at the Ice House.
Oh, okay.
And it was on Sunday, and I worked Sundays. And so, I was like, you know what? I'll just take that class. I'll come in early.
Yeah, why not? You're going to be there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So just come. So I ended up doing that, took the class, and kind of hit the ground running for like the first 6 months. I was trying to do it as much as I can. I really enjoyed it.
Right. Like what a perfect combination. Like, I mean, you're taking a comedy class at a comedy venue, and you're also working at the comedy venue.
Yeah,
so yeah,
exactly. So it was great. It was a perfect situation.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, started performing. And the funny thing is, after the graduation show, one of the, now I know him as he's a bringer promoter. He was on the show, and he came in and killed it, right? Of course.
Sure.
Because in front of a bunch of comedy class graduates.
Right.
He killed it, and I had a good set. And then he came up to me and he goes, "Man, you're really, really funny. You should come do my show at the Comedy Store." And I was like, I made it on the inside. I was like, yeah, baby, I made it in comedy. But on the outside, I was like, oh, great. Of course, I'd love to come.
Sure.
And then I got to the show, and I saw the other people that were on the show from the class.
Oh.
And they were terrible, and even when I was super terrible then, but they were really god awful.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking,
oh no, I'm not special.
Yeah, it's like either he lied to them or he lied to me.
Yeah.
And the truth is, he lied to all of us, right? Yeah, he lied.
Fair enough. Yeah,
he lied to all of us. So anyway, but after 6 months, I kind of fell out of the routine of going up a lot. It was like transportation issue. I didn't have a car. I lost my car. And employment, I only had the one job. And so I really, it's all excuses, but I really just wasn't doing comedy for like the next, 2.5 years. I ran a mic, so I performed.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're getting a little bit of time.
Yeah, I performed like once a week, that kind of thing.
Sure.
and then got back into it and kept falling in and out. And then 2009, I quit working at the Ice House and got kind of serious about comedy again. And then like a year and a half later, kind of fell out of comedy. I got hired at the Comedy Store like 2010, maybe 2011. 2011, that's what it was. And at that point, I was kind of, really doing it.
Yeah.
And then the talent coordinator who I was working with was fired.
Uh-oh.
And so I kind of didn't know where I was. And at that point, I was doing pretty well. I was progressing, feeling good about my comedy.
Yeah.
And then I just sort of like gradually started doing less and less till it got to the same point to where I started getting my shifts covered there. So I was working, once, maybe twice a month and performing like maybe once a month for like the better part of 3 years.
Oh, gotcha.
And then I just kind of had, I don't want to say an epiphany, but it's just kind of at some point, I'm like, what am I doing? This isn't, I'm not pursuing anything else and I'm not pursuing comedy. So what's going on?
Right. Yeah. You're just like, you're just existing.
Yeah, exactly. And like that life, that existence life, is so much a part of Los Angeles.
Sure.
It's like hard to explain, but like you can blink your eye and 7 years have gone by and you haven't done shit. Right? And I've seen it happen so many times.
Right. You just get caught up in the grind of everyday life. Because it's so hard to just, everything's so expensive there that you kind of have to just work. I could see how just getting caught up in surviving would take up so much of your time and energy and focus.
Yeah, it's like you just kind of work to live, and there's like nothing in between, so to speak, because it is really expensive. And I was comfortable, and I started late, so I'm not like a lot of my coworkers are now are like 26, 27. I'm 38, so
right.
I had, I split a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. I had, master bedroom, secured parking, all that kind of, so I was comfortable. Yeah. And that was really part of the problem for me. I know my personality, if I'm given a chance to be comfortable or lazy, I will take it. So my roommate, who was a comic and a screenwriter, he kind of packed up his bags and went back home to Maryland. I'm like, okay, once we talked about him leaving, I said, I'm going to go ahead and, really, really start my comedy life. So I just kind of reduced everything that I was doing. Like I no longer work as much. And I reduced my bills so that I could do comedy more.
Yeah, just bring that cost of living down.
Yeah, and it sucks because, I was really comfortable and I'm not a kid. So it's like I had to kind of swallow my pride a little bit. So now, I purchased a Honda minivan. So when I do gigs like this,
dude,
but like
I love the minivan.
It's great, dude. I love it too. But it's cool. Like if I do like your gig, for instance, you put us up. But other places, like they don't put you up. You have to buy a hotel. So to save on money, I just crash in the van.
Yeah.
And I go to San Diego a lot. They have a lot of good comedy. I sleep in my van when I go to San Diego.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so I reduced my bills and just started really hitting comedy. So I'm a mic. I try to average twice a night. So I get up between 9 to like 16 times a week.
Fuck yeah.
And a lot of those are mics, but it's more and more shows. As I move along. It's like this week is great. I have, yesterday and today shows with you, and then tomorrow I'll get back to LA and have a show in Oxnard that I'm hosting. Yeah. And then Friday and Saturday I'll be in San Diego. And then I don't have much coming up after that, but it's just, I have a show in Sanger on the 20th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Sanger. Who's running the shows out in Sanger right now? Dude, who's the promoter on that?
I'll have to look at it because I got booked through Cody Woods. If you know Cody Woods. I'm
not familiar with Cody.
Cody Woods, he's a hustler. Is
he?
Yeah, he's a white comic, and that's only important because he does like a lot of black rooms. And he was on Kevin Hart's Heart of the City. So he's one of those comics who got on Comedy Central Heart of the City.
Yeah.
No, I've known him for a couple years. I met him out in the Bay. I think he's from the Bay as well. And so I just started asking him, like, hey, I need any time. I'm hungry for time. And he offered me a couple spots, but it was like, 14-hour drive, turn around. I'm like, as much as I want to, I'm like, I don't think that's worth it. I would spend all my money traveling there. And like breaking even 4 hours away is different than breaking even 14 hours away.
Right. Yeah, because on one level you're cool with breaking even, but man, when you're paying to play, that's when it's
and it was decent pay, but it would have all gone to traveling, and it would have been 30 hours of driving in a 48-hour period. It just seems But anyway, he called me for this one in Sanger.
Yeah. That's cool. I wasn't familiar because I knew. I knew a couple of comedians that are from Sanger, and they were doing some shows. But as far as I knew, they had stopped. So yeah. Huh? You know more about my scene than I do. Apparently, that's wild.
And it's a great lineup. I'm going down with Cody Woods, me, and then Stephen Fury, who's also an employee at the Comedy Store and a beast of a comic and like a great guy. So it's gonna be fun, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, 20 minutes. So
blow it up
straight. Because it's so important to get those 20-minute spots.
Yeah.
Because in Los Angeles, I'm not too sure how it is in other scenes, but even in San Diego, I've seen, it's 3 to 5 minutes. San Diego, you get more of an audience, so it's more valuable, those 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's definitely, quality time.
Versus like LA, where it's like there's just saturation for entertainment.
Right.
So it's like you're going to open mics, you're going to perform for comics.
It's
a necessary evil, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been kicking around the idea of starting a show that's I don't want to call it 420s, but it's just the most convenient name. But yeah, just having 4 comics on 20 minutes each, like people that they might have 20 minutes of material but aren't necessarily getting 20-minute long spots, just to like learn what it feels like.
That is a great, as a comic, I would say that is a great idea.
Yeah.
And I would totally appreciate it. So if you do it, like, guys are going to appreciate it because
for sure.
You can't get the 20-minute spots. It's really hard. And what happens for me, it's like I don't do it as often. So I was in Seattle 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So it was like 5 shows and it was 20 to 25 minutes each show. It's like the first show is always like kicking the dust off. It's getting your flow and your timing for 20 minutes because you're so used to coming out in LA and just swinging.
Like for 10 or whatever it is.
Like it's the final round of a fight. Just come out throwing blows, but it's like, no, you have to pace. And so by the last show, it's like, okay, everything is flowing. I'm comfortable. I know where the time is, and it's great.
Right. And and it's a very selfish endeavor because that's where I'm at, where I have, I have 25 to 30 minutes of material, but I run my own shows, but I only do 10 to 15 minute spots usually because there's bigger comedians than me that I've booked. I'm not going to take their time away. And so, but I was thinking, like a low key, like that. I'm not going to try to like blow it up and like I'm not going to try to pack it in with 100 people. But basically, for comics that are, especially the local comics here, because there's a few guys in our scene that are in that similar position. And so, if I could just get like an honest crowd of like 10 to 15 people, because I'm not trying to blow the doors down. I'm not trying to get rich off this show. This is a very, very selfish endeavor. Like I said, this is more for me than for anybody else. But just to get that feeling, like, just like, what does 20 minutes feel like? Like, what is it, because that's a big thing. That's a big jump,
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And that's what the crazy part is. Like I said, miking in LA, even if you get a spot on like a club show, it's like 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 12,
Right.
But there's so many headliners there that they're all filling all of those spots.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you do get a spot at a club, it's like once, maybe twice a month, and that's doing 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So LA versus the Valley, it's all in Los Angeles, people. But the Valley has more of a road feel. So comics who perform there have more of a road feel than they do on the other side of the hill in Los Angeles. But I perform a lot in the Valley, at a lot of bars, because you get more time.
Sure.
So you get like 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes 12 minutes. Like I have an okay reputation, so there's a couple spots where I get to do like 10, 12 minutes.
Sure.
And those are so valuable to me. It's like I could feel the difference. Because, for instance, as an employee at the Comedy Store, we get to go up every Monday on potluck. But that spot's 3 minutes.
Yeah,
3 minutes.
Okay, here's my closer.
Yeah, exactly, 3 minutes. And like I've been there for a minute, so I kind of stretch it to like 4 or 5 minutes.
Sure.
But 3 minutes is like just and it's great. You get in front of a real audience. It's packed out now all the time, so it's awesome. But it's still 3 minutes, and it's only so helpful. But the 10-minute spots really help you grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could work on 2 10-minute sets, literally, and build your 20 that way.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, instead of having to do like 5, 5, 5, 5. So anyway, so that's the 20-minute spots will be so beneficial. Like so even if you think of it as selfish, it isn't. It's really a necessary thing for your career, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you can send the 20-minute tape
Right.
to a booker.
Right.
Or, record it and, upload it to YouTube so they can click on the link. Because those are hard to come by. Like, I'm in that spot right now where I need to send a tape out. And it's just like, okay, I'm not doing 20 minutes enough to record one. So I'm ending up having to send them audio from my phone, trying to get a good recording on the phone. And like, hey, here's my 20 minutes. Sorry, I don't have a tape.
Right. You see what it does, I mean, you've got some... I'm sure you got some people that can vouch for you, though, too, right?
Yeah, I do. I've had some people take me on the road with them, and I'm super, super grateful. Yeah. And like I said, Sammy Obeid has taken me 2 different spots and hooked me up with people, and it's already paid off. Yeah, and it's like, so that's helped out a lot. Yeah. So that's,
he's so funny. He'll like pop into our room because he's known Danny for a long time, and so he'll hit up Danny. He's like, "Hey, I'm passing through town. Like, can I do some time?" And we're always like, "Absolutely." And last time he came up, he had just a fucking notepad. He took this notepad up there, and he did like 15 minutes that he wrote the day before. Like, this was all just super raw, like Sammy Obeid stuff. And he's a good dude.
Yeah, he's on it. Like, he'll, the notepad's with him all the ways. He's always working on stuff. And
have you ever seen his, like, he set it down one day, and I don't know if you've ever seen his notepad, but he literally writes his notes I mean, there's this weird, like, Venn diagram that he has for, do this bit, and maybe I read it wrong, but it was like, do this bit. If it goes well, do this bit. If it doesn't go well, do this bit. Like, I was like, hilarious. Holy shit, dude.
I'm always wary of looking at people's notepads just because I'm so afraid for people to look at mine.
Fair enough.
I don't. First off, I don't like my handwriting. I'm a terrible speller. But also, it's just like, those are my own personal thoughts at that point. They haven't come out, on stage yet. And so I'm like so afraid of people.
And the only reason I even saw it was because he was headlining and he left it on stage. And so I was like, I'll take this back. But in the meantime, I'm just like staring at him like, oh my God, what is this? Like, here you go, buddy. Like, it was like some foreign language. Like, I'm like, oh, he is so far beyond me.
And it's crazy because when we were in Seattle, he was doing an hour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how it was when you first started? Like 5 minutes seems like a lot. Yeah. Like 20 minutes, that would blow my mind. I'm like, what? I have nothing to say after 5 minutes. Like I barely have. So 20 minutes kind of blew my mind. And even at this point, I've been doing it for too long to not have at least an hour, of shitty material. Sure. But a lot of my jokes have just. I feel like it's been the same joke, but like a better version. Like you first start writing, it's sort of peripheral, it's on the outside, then you get a little bit more serious, a little more, you dig a little bit deeper. So I feel like I've talked about a lot of the same things, but just in a better way. So I, like right now, the most I would really realistically want to do is 30 minutes. I feel like after 30 minutes, there's a significant decline in quality.
For sure.
And I'm very honest about it. A lot of people are like, oh, I got an hour. And I'm just like, I've never seen you do a tight 5 minutes, and you're saying you have an hour. If you have an hour, I think you should be able to kill it top to bottom in the 5 minutes.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of people not do that. Who claim to have an hour. But just hour talking and an hour of comedy are just two different things.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Cool, man. Well, this is a podcast where we talk about dads.
Yeah. Talk about them daddies.
You're Quincy Weekley. Mm-hmm. Cool, man. Well, I mean, tell me about your dad, man, in the whole situation.
Well, I'll tell you this. I was born Quincy Reynolds.
Okay.
My parents weren't married. I'm from Arkansas originally. Mm-hmm. So I'm a bastard, as are a lot of my friends that I turned out later in life. Like, oh, they're all bastards.
Sure.
So my parents were married. I was born Quincy Reynolds, my mom's last name. And then my father paid child support once and changed it to Weekley. Because in Arkansas, if you paid child support, you have the right to put the child's name as your last name.
Okay.
So he changed it to Weekley. And then since 4th grade, I've been Quincy Weekley.
Wow, dude. Yeah. Wow. What... Man, was that a weird identity crisis for you? Was that
it? Kind of because I played sports when I was younger, so like the jerseys with your name on the back, and then once it became Weekley, it was like, okay, I guess I'm no longer Quincy Reynolds now. I'm Quincy Weekley.
Yeah,
and then sort of have gone from there. It wasn't that. Well, the most upsetting part was that he only paid child support once.
Jesus.
Just to change the name. And then I remember that my mom borrowed the money from me. She's like, look, I'm going to borrow this money. And for some reason, I remember it being like $18. And I don't know if that's an accurate number or if I'm making that up, but it was like $18 he paid. Maybe it was like a down payment, you know what I mean, on my support. And then my mom's like, yeah, so I'm going to buy this and we're going to get some food with it, but I'm going to pay you back. And I was just like, okay, Mom. You know, and then
I'm in 4th grade.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like nothing after that. Right? Nothing after that. So... But my father, he was not in my life, but I would see him because I'm from a really small town. So he would periodically, you know, show up and, you know, it's such a small town, like everyone kind of knew each other.
Sure.
And kind of the joke for weekly men is that, you know, if you meet a woman, just ask her if she knows Willy. That's my father's name, Willy Weekley. Because you don't want to have sex with your sister. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you told me last night he had how many kids?
16.
Holy
shit.
16,
16. And I've started meeting over the last like 4 years. I've started meeting a lot of my father's side of the family on Facebook.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's like, thank you, social media, for bringing my family together.
Yeah, and who knows how many nieces and nephews you have.
Exactly. It's like, it's unbelievable, like when I really think about it. And it's also kind of scary to sort of like, okay, try to get to know them, so to speak. Like, so unfortunately, I haven't really done it. They've reached out to me more than I have to them. But that's really more reflection of me. I kind of feel like I didn't have anything really good to report, and I haven't done very much, so it's like I don't want to. But all that to say, I've been tracking more and seeing more of them.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, so it's been cool.
So walk me through it a little bit. So you're you were born in Arkansas. Yeah. Kind of like a single mom situation. It sounds like. And so what was growing up like for you? I mean, you said you were doing sports and stuff.
Yeah, so it was. I loved it because, you know, we lived like small town, like there's woods everywhere. So it's like as kids, you know, we used to go out and just play in the woods for hours. You know, that kind of thing. And it was a single mom, but it was my mom and her sisters. So the whole family was basically just women. You know, there were no adult males in there. So that's that. You know, as a kid, just like it is what it is. You know, you don't know the difference.
And are you the only child in the house?
No, so from my mom, I have an older brother. He's he's 4 years older than me.
Gotcha.
And then my sister is 11 years younger than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was the baby for, you know, a while. And then it became the middle child. You know, so... which probably explains why I kind of got into comedy late. You know, the middle child syndrome kicked in a lot later because, you know, I wasn't the baby and I wasn't the only son. You know, my sister. So, but yeah, and so that was kind of the situation. My mom worked a lot, but you know, I was good at sports, so I played sports. You know, decent in school when I applied myself. And I kind of enjoyed the early years. It was pretty fun, and then we moved. My mom packed up and we moved to California. She wanted us to have a better life. So we moved with her first cousin and her first cousin's husband to South San Jose. Okay. Which was like a total, like used to have a joke about it because being from small town South, you know, and not having a father around, my mom would say, you know, if I can't, you know how parents always say, like, you know, your mom would always say, wait till your father gets home. Right? Yeah, right. But like my mom didn't have that to use, and she didn't have that tool to use. So literally, she would say, "If I can't control you and your brother, I'm gonna let the white man come and take you."
Holy shit!
Yeah, right. And so I spent like a lot of my life kind of being afraid of white men.
Yeah, just yeah.
And I would see, you know, I went to school,
and then you moved to San Jose.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. So in my neighborhood in Arkansas, it's like everyone's black except for one white family. And then I moved to California, San Jose. It was the complete opposite. It was one or two black families in the entire white neighborhood. So that was sort of scary. And then that's the joke. It's like then once I had white friends and went to their house, it's like, I wish you would have let the white man come and take me. Right? It's like they had shit at their house I'd never even seen before. You know?
Oh, that's funny, dude. That is a culture shift. So this is probably what like early 90s that you guys make that move?
Late 80s. Okay. Yeah, very early. Yeah, pretty
probably
close.
A good time to get into San Jose. I mean, before like the tech boom and everything. Yeah, because I imagine it was probably relatively reasonable to live there at that time.
Yeah, well, my uncle was in real estate and they owned a house in the neighborhood, so they were doing well for themselves.
Yeah,
and it was cool. Moving, ended up being okay. It was, I'm glad we lived there
Sure.
because it'd been really limited if we stayed.
Right.
Texarkana was
And so, like, I mean, yeah, you were saying that you were living with your mom and her sisters and her cousins. Like, so did you have any kind of a male role model in your life that you were kind of like looking to for advice or
not
anything
at
like
all.
that?
Like,
Yeah.
not. I mean, there was my brother, but he was a kid also.
Yeah, right. He
So
wasn't.
there's literally no male role model. At one point, my aunt had married. She had married some guy, and he, out of respect, we call him uncle.
Sure.
And he was but he wasn't really much of a role model.
Yeah.
He never tried to do anything in a way of like disciplining or teaching. He was just kind of around.
Sure.
So they really were just like coaches, of teams.
Right.
That would basically be it.
Right.
And then when we moved to San Jose, that was the first time there was a male in my life who tried to install, like value systems and
just
hard work, that kind of
show
thing.
you how to be a man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was resistant to it. Like even to this day, I kind of feel like if an older guy tries to teach me something, I'm like, well, you're not my dad. And it's like, whoa, what just happened here, right?
Just comes out.
Yeah, just like I get that feeling, and it's terrible and it sucks because it's like, this person may have something to offer and I need to be open to that.
Yeah.
But it's just like on the inside, it's like, no, my mom is my mom. That's who I learned from. That's who's been there.
Yeah.
So any other guy, it's like, you're not my father. My father didn't do it, so I'm not going to let you do it.
Right.
So
Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably been more detrimental than anything. Well,
sure. I mean, I get it. I mean, because yeah, that's a tough situation that you're coming from, and like you're. I mean, it sounds like your mom did so much for you. I mean, I could understand that resistance,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she was the steady thing in my life, so she was the parent. She was the mother and the father.
Tell me a little bit about her. She sounds pretty rad.
Yeah, she's really cool. She's super religious. Like, she got even more religious, like, after I left the house. So I was like 20 years old or something like that. So she became, like, super religious. But she basically is a good woman, kind-hearted. She would try to help anyone that she can. She would give them the shirt off their back if she could. And she just worked hard all the time, which I didn't appreciate when I was younger.
Sure.
But now I appreciate it. Like, she worked 2 jobs, like, all the time to take care of us, to keep a roof over our head. And at the time when you're a kid, you think things are, we're poor, this thing sucks, but it's like it could have been a lot worse.
Sure.
I could have had a mom who was, addicted to drugs and drank a lot, but like luckily she's never been drunk a day in her life. She's never done drugs.
Good for her.
Yeah, so it was pretty amazing when I think about it. Like she had, and because I'm like older than she was at that time, almost when we moved here. Yeah. And I couldn't even imagine having, 2 or 3 kids and taking care of them. I couldn't even it's like, it's not something I can imagine.
For sure, dude. I mean, I have one and I forgot about it. And I only have her half the time. So, yeah, for sure. The idea of having 3 kids on my own it just seems so overwhelming. So, yeah, good for her, dude.
Yeah, so I did a lot of, I wouldn't say raising myself, but even, so when we moved here, it was first time we moved back and forth a few times, but I was 2nd and 3rd grade, moving from small town Arkansas to a really big city in California, and in 3rd grade I was taking a bus, because we lived with my uncle, and then we eventually moved out across town.
Yeah,
but my mom wanted to keep me in the same school, so I was taking a bus, the city transit, by myself in 3rd grade, across town. But to me at the time, it was just like, oh, it's something I have to do. I didn't think of it as good and bad or good or bad.
Sure.
It's just like,
that was life.
Yeah, it's like I know how to take the bus. You know what I mean? I know how to, protect myself or whatever.
Right.
And so I would take the bus across town in this big city. And, I tell people that, and they're like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, how old were you at the time?
3rd grade.
Wow.
So,
because my daughter's in 2nd grade, and the idea of her doing that, I'm like, I don't know if she knows what to do.
Right? Exactly.
It was that is pretty wild.
Yeah, it was pretty, when I think about it, but at the time, it was just like, oh, that's just what I have to do. So
that's life.
And so there's a lot of that, a lot of taking care of ourselves, because when I saw my mom, it was, she would come home from work, maybe a meal, and then she would sleep, and then, have to go back to work or just sleep because she was tired from working so much.
Sure.
And so it was just, a lot of doing things on your own, which was good and bad, because not having someone pushing you can be for me, it was really bad because I just sort of did things. Like I played sports just because I was good at them.
Sure.
And then it was just easy. I would go and sign myself up, and I was good. So coaches would I get rides from coaches. Coaches bought me cleats. Coaches bought me gloves.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
no, that stuff was really great.
Yeah,
but it was also one of those things that were, because I'm benefiting them. It's not like they were like, oh, this kid needs it,
Sure. Yeah.
And, but I mean, I guess I could look at it that way. There's lots of ways to look at it, but it doesn't really matter. That was happening. So signing myself up for sports and just playing, it kind of just keeping myself busy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because it's if you don't have anybody, it sounds like you kept yourself busy because it'd be real easy to go the other way with it. You know what I mean? So good on you for having the wherewithal, even at a young age, to.
Yeah, and I dabbled in sort of. It's so funny, and I don't want to really call it gang life because the west side of San Jose wasn't really gang oriented. But there's there's a little crew we had. I remember we were called San Jose Players.
Yeah,
brought sweatshirts, hooded sweatshirts, and put
SJP,
it on there.
yeah,
exactly. There's only like 7 of us. There's only like 7 of us, and I think thinking back, I think I was the only one who got jumped in. I remember because it was right by the baseball field where I played.
Wait a minute, guys! Wait, why was it only been my turn?
Yeah, exactly. Because I was also that kid, not wanting to rock the boat. Just sort of a little slightly gullible. So it's I think hilarious. I remember laughing. I was getting jumped in. It was nothing serious, but there was punching and kicking and stuff like that. But it was I did not get hurt at all. It was okay, now I'm a San Jose player, and then after that it was nothing. The crew disbanded. You know what I mean? The band broke up. It was basically I think they all just wanted to jump me. And that was it, right? Let's find a clever way to beat up Quincy. You know what I mean?
That was the magnum opus of gang life.
Exactly. And I remember in high school, a friend of mine who I had played baseball with for a long time and gone to school with, he formed a little crew called IH, Insane Hoods. And I remember wanting them to ask me to join, but also not really wanting to do it, but wanting the invitation.
Sure.
But then that was probably the last time I ever thought of anything gang related.
Yeah.
Sort of like that. But yeah, so then other than that, just pretty normal. Just played sports throughout high school, played football 1 year of junior college, and then just kind of just drifted, for a while, not being aimless in a way.
And what does your mom think of you doing comedy?
She I don't know what she thinks of it. She's never said, "Oh, you should do something else." She's more wanting me to have kids. That's really. But my brother has 4 kids, so I'm like, you have 4 grandchildren.
Yeah,
come on, I mean, stop being greedy,
But right.
She wants me. She really wants me to have kids and a family and all that kind of stuff. She's never seen me perform. Only my sister has. My sister's come out to at least 3 different times.
What does she think?
She likes it, and I think she's she's how do I explain it? She's the typical, I don't know, 25-year-old where it's they love the Kardashians and they want it so she oh, my famous brother, you know what I mean? So she kind of wants me to be famous, so to kind of make her famous, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, which isn't bad at all.
Yeah, I guess.
And I really love my sister. That's my boo.
That's rad, dude.
But she loves coming to the show. She always tries to go. She tries to get her friends to come. Whenever I performed in San Jose, she's brought out people. Yeah. So she's actually really supportive.
Oh, that's very cool.
But it's my mom is so religious and so hasn't done very much that it's I think I'll invite her to a show when it's mostly me, and so I know what she'll have to deal with.
Sure.
Yeah, because if there's a couple dirty comics on the show who are doing really foul, she's just gonna be wincing the whole time.
Oh, dude, it's and you gotta give them a heads up on that because I've had my mom and dad come out to shows. And then, one of the comedians will start, crowd working on my parents. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
My mom.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah, exactly.
Abort. And now, I think you mentioned it earlier, but now you did actually meet your biological father at one point.
Yeah. Like I said, when I was younger in Arkansas, I had met him a few times. I remember one of I have, maybe 3 really distinct memories. Even though I met him, I keep saying met him hey, this is your son, but it was he just happened to come around, so I'd seen him. There are 3 really distinct memories. Once it was he had come over and him and my mom were, I don't know if they were arguing, they're just like, bickering, and it's like, well, I'm going to take him to live with me. And then she goes, all right, then take him. And then I went to live with him for all of a couple hours, and then he brought me back immediately. He brought me back immediately, and I was just like, okay. I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was just like, all right, that was fun. Way to use me like as a chess piece or whatever,
Jeez.
And then another time, he came and he had a beer, and like he let me finish the rest of his beer.
All right.
And that was like so cool. I remember as a kid, it's like, first off, guys, that's my dad. And also he gave me a beer. He's super cool. How old are you? I don't even remember how old I was, but I was really young, man. I was really young. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was just like so cool because my dad was there, and also he gave me a beer. So it's like I felt like the coolest kid in the projects at that point. And then what's the other? I'm trying to think of the other memory there. So there was, so I had met my grandmother on my father's side.
Oh, wow.
So I went and hung out over there for like the weekend and met like some cousins and a brother. And then we went, because he owned a pool hall. So we walked from her house, my grandmother's house.
Dad?
My dad owned the pool hall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. So we walked from my grandmother's house to his pool hall and, like played a little bit of pool for a second and then went back. So I remember that as well. So that was kind of, I remember that being kind of cool, meeting that side of the family.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, this is usually the part of the show where I ask for like a dadecdote, which is usually like a profound or maybe like a happy or just a great memory of that parent. But I was going to say, do you have like a momecdote? Like, do you have like a great story about your mom that growing up, something that really sticks out?
Man, I'm trying to think, but I mean, when I really think about it, it's going to be one of those things where like a couple hours from now, I'm like, oh, I should have said that story. But I really don't. Like, as far as my father's concerned, like I remember the beer. That was like a really big moment for me.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice series of dadecdotes you gave me. So.
And then I remember when I first changed my name to Weekley.
Yeah,
I remember him saying, because my name is spelled Weekley.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, listen, don't ever let them forget that other E, right? It's Ley. And for some reason that like seared into my brain. And it's funny because it happens all the time. People forget that E.
Yeah, right.
So that's seared into my brain.
That's funny.
But as far as my mom is concerned, it wasn't, not really. Most of it I remember feeling kind of bad. I wasn't a bad kid, but I was kind of mouthy a little bit, and I'd said some things before that I really regret to this day. And we talked about it, so like
that's good. You guys worked through it.
Yeah, because there was a serious point to where when I first moved out, there's about 8 years where I didn't see her, and then we didn't talk very much.
Oh,
yeah. So
was that any particular reason, or was it you guys are both busy with life?
It wasn't. I didn't consciously say I'm not going to talk to my mom. I just did it, and I'm really bad at communication. First off, and secondly, like I said, I wasn't doing very much. It wasn't much to support, and I remember not being that happy in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that happened growing up that she was involved in that I felt like were her fault, and there were times where I felt like she didn't protect her kids as much as she should have. So there's a couple moments where I remember like really, really, really being upset. Like basically she was kind of letting people take advantage of her. And through that, people taking advantage of her, it's like they were taking advantage of us in a way. And I just felt like she didn't fight for us enough. And we've talked about it since then, and I'm like over that stuff. I'm an adult now, but at the time it felt like a lot. Like one in particular, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was like me, my brother, and then my sister was born also, and then my stepfather, my sister's husband, and then a friend of hers had moved out of her apartment, and her son stayed with us for a little bit. And he was only supposed to stay for like a couple days, and it ended up being like the better part of like almost a year.
Whoa!
Because we went to the same school.
Yeah.
I remember his name clearly. His name was Tim. And there was one morning where my brother went to my mom and was like, hey, can I have some money for lunch? And she's like, I don't have any money, son, I'm sorry. And then literally right after, Tim comes up and says, hey, so my mom says, you have money for me? And then my mom pulls money out of her purse and gives it to him. And I was in front of me and my brother and me just watching this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, being so upset about that. Like,
Yeah.
how can you turn my brother down and you give this guy money who's not even supposed to be living here that long and he's still staying here?
Yeah, that is frustrating.
Yeah. No, so there's moments sort of like that where I was just sort of, I don't want to say turned off. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it. But moments like that where it kind of hardened me to, like, you know, real communication.
Yeah, for sure. It can make you feel a little looked over and maybe a little betrayed. And,
exactly. Because it's like, you know, I'm your son. My brother is your son. You know, this is someone else's son. You know, why are you taking care of them first?
Right.
At least don't do it in front of us. You know, like we're all witnessing this. You know what I mean? Like, let us leave.
Have a little bit of tact.
Yeah, you know, but it was just like, no, here's the, you know, but,
and I know she was a pretty hardworking lady, but did you guys ever have time to, like, take a family trip or anything like that?
We took one family trip when I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah, we came actually out to Los Angeles. We went to Disneyland and Universal Studios.
Oh, yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah.
So that was really cool. That was like
the
first time we actually had like any kind of a real vacation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was awesome.
It's a great first vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Or only vacation, but yeah, either way, way to go big.
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool. And I don't know if I ever really thanked her for that, you know, because it was out of the blue. I didn't expect it, but it was really cool that she had planned it and then we went on that trip. But yeah, me, my mom, and my sister came out to Southern California and took a tour. It was really cool.
No, that is very cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Quincy, you've been rad. You've been an awesome guest today. Can you tell the people where to find you on social media and all that?
Yeah, Instagram is at Quincy L Weekley, all one word. Facebook.com/Quincy Weekley, and Twitter is at Quincy Weekley. So
Sweet, I'll link all that in the show notes.
Yeah. So add me, guys, and you'll see more because I just started posting more as well. Crazy, so.
I noticed that. I saw a few of your posts recently. I was like, oh yeah, Quincy. Like,
yeah. I'm so bad at that stuff, so it's like I'm really trying to be real. So like, you know, let's really do this.
Yeah.
Really doing this.
Right on, man. Cool. You've been an awesome guest. Thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Quincy Weekley, everybody. He's great, right? That story about him being the only one that gets jumped into the gang. That just kills me. I love that. Follow Quincy on all the social medias when you get a chance. I adore that man. A few Sad Dad related things, guys. If you enjoy the show, a rate and review on iTunes would make you my hero. And any reviews that you guys leave me, I'll read out loud. If you guys have any dadecdotes of your own you'd like to share, go ahead and email those to saddadpodcast@gmail.com. I'll put all of that in the show notes. And then the Sad Dad Patreon, if you want to support this, give the show a little love financially. You know, a buck or two a month, or $5 a month, or $1 million a month, or I don't know, whatever. You know, I don't know who listens to this show. Go ahead. I'll link that too in the show notes. I'd love you forever. Don't really make any money doing this thing. I like doing it. It's and you guys seem to enjoy it too. So yeah, you can show me a little love that way. If not, I totally get it. You know, no worries. No, you won't hurt my feelings. Just enjoy the show and tell your friends about it. And then. Also, too, I'm actually on an episode of Ana Valenzuela's podcast called 12 Questions. It is a really, really, really fun episode. I had so much fun doing it with her. And there's a few stories on there that I tell that I haven't really shared on this podcast before. I talk a lot about my brother. And then I share this wild story about my raising pigs. We used to have pigs out here on the old Apkarian farm, and so yeah, you can check that out there. 12 Questions with Ana Valenzuela, and I think that's it for this week.